But, Secretary, Mr. Hancock, why didn't you say to your civil servants, this was a major exercise into the United Kingdom's pandemic influenza preparedness. It was one of the largest command post exercises ever held. It made a number of important recommendations, 22 in fact in all, across the whole board of the United Kingdom's plans and capabilities. And by June 2020, after the pandemic had struck, of course, the DHSC acknowledged that of the 22 recommendations, 8 had been fully addressed, 6 had been partially addressed, and work to address 8 more was still ongoing. How could that have been missed? How could those recommendations not have been put into place between July 18, when you took that post, and 2020, when the chickens came home to roost?
Well, the answer to that question, there's 2 ways of answering that question. The first is that as a Secretary of State, you have a limited set of resources, and you have to make sure that those resources are targeted at the threats that you face. And one of those risks was a disorganised Brexit, and it was incumbent on the department to make sure that we were as well prepared for that as possible. The second way of answering the same question is that it isn't really about the numbers of recommendations from Cygnus. It's about what those recommendations were. And the problem with Cygnus is it did not spot the central problem in pandemic planning. So having looked through those recommendations that were not put in place, I'm not sure they would have helped much when the chickens, as you say, came home to roost. Because Cygnus did not recommend that we should be prepared to stop the spread of a pandemic. It made all sorts of recommendations for how to deal with the worst case scenario happening. And therefore, I am not at all convinced that we would have been much better placed to face this pandemic had all of those recommendations been put into place, because there was a much bigger error.
All right.